Season's about to start. My recruiting class is pretty good. I really did some good things, but this I think it was time you had one of your segments about these players do not let you know anything the last minute. I mean,
Hmm.
I mean the last minute. We're talking right now. For me, it's about 30 days before players come in, and I can't do it. Or one young lady had she wouldn't leave without a boyfriend. She's not coming to school without her boyfriend. So, um, then one says, "I'm going to redshirt." Why are you redshirting? Your grades are good. Well,
Hmm.
I want to develop and get better. This is okay. 90 days prior to, I can still recruit. I can bring in players and keep my roster at a steady place. But these players are doing this the last second, and that kind of filters down my roster just a little bit. So um, dealing with just a couple of things, but not as bad as it's been in like past, where players are they got that 4-year school coming to them 30 days, 60 days prior, literally coming.
Hmm.
I don't know if you talk to other coaches. There are a lot of coaches now, 4-year coaches. Some of them are just getting these jobs, just falling into these jobs, and they are blowing up my email or blowing up my phone asking for players because they've obviously gotten the roster, and the roster is not where it needs to be, and there's a struggle. These are 4-year schools. Some of them are D3s, couple D2s, but of course, D3s. They're not offering no athletic. It's just academic. So it's they're right now desperate for players like big time.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know why these colleges are hiring these coaches in July. You know, well, how do you hire a coach in July and expect them to turn, their program, even good, bad, or indifferent, turn it around and make it viable when you got maybe 8 girls in a roster, and then you may not even have, and then you got to hope that all 8 are staying. They don't leave because the
Hmm.
coach either got fired or left. So it's kind of
Yeah.
getting, you could, I can see the desperation in the emails.
Right. Right.
So I guess I could say that I've just never encountered it more this year. You see it more this year. Uh,
Hmm.
I've had a lot of coaches, which is really surprising to reach out to me. Um, Good thing about our program, we went from Division 3 JUCO to Division 2 JUCO.
Right. Right.
So that has been a wonderful thing, which you're able to give some type of scholarship money out. Not a lot, but we'll be able to do something this year, and that's really a really good thing for us. Um, I don't know, man. Just this year should be a better year all the way around. But also just noticing that even the coaches I talk to that's in the Region 10, that there is a struggle somewhat to keep players or returning players. Players that are leaving or leaving the last minute, or they don't want to play.
Hmm.
I don't really know what to tell them. It's just something that's going all through our region.
Yeah. And I'm hearing more of it around here too. Just it's just chaos. It looks like, and I know Sports Illustrated made that whole article this week where they were trying to talk about recruiting is just getting later and later and later because everybody was waiting on Peach Jam. Okay, everybody with the Peach Jam, everybody did that. Okay, everybody's waiting on Under Armour. Okay, everybody waiting on that. Everybody waiting on Adidas, so on and so forth. And then you got the coaches that are transitioning through different jobs. It just turns it into a whole big mess.
Yeah.
So it's like it's just getting later and later and later and later, and we don't have the right information to be able to give out because it's just kind of like, well, the college coaches that are coming in the 4 years, they're the market. We can't do nothing about that.
Unfortunately, you're dead on. I recruit a player. Ironically, I recruited a young lady from Washington State, signed her a letter of intent, a two-sport player. She's a military, so military she gets the in-state automatically gets that in-state, and she's a really solid player.
Mm-hmm.
And out of nowhere, she says that she wants to decommit, and since it was early, we let her get out of the commitment. And I don't know if you ever noticed, but we they have the this recruiting sites or the like field level.
Mm-hmm.
Lady signed with a school 1 hour from us, right? But it was a 4 year school, But it was a 4 year school. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, my thing was she was just somebody I recruited all the way through like September of last year.
Mm-hmm.
And she signed immediately in January, and then in March, just kind of changed their mind, and then wound up signing to a school, a 4 year school. So, because I'm gonna let a player go to a 4 year school. You can go. I can't beat that. But the recruiting now is for me is almost like literally 12 months, and then knowing that I could talk to a player really a long time and keep up with them, and then they sign, and
Mm-hmm.
then 4 year school comes in, and last minute, look, again, looking at their numbers, looking at maybe not the talent. Sometimes not even just the talent. It's just they're looking at their numbers. 4 year schools shouldn't be. They're looking at having 12. They're under 12. They're going to go out and fish for more players.
Mm-hmm.
Which way they can. They're fishing out there for more players. But you're I'm seeing more players now. Look at field level. You got more players signing in July than I've ever seen. I mean, July. School in August. So you have a lot of players in June and July. I mean, a lot of players. Some were D1, some were D1, some were D2. Wasn't traditionally you figure your D1 and D2s would have all their players
Mm-hmm.
locked in, locked in early. They're just picking maybe one or two here and there, but a lot of these D1s are still, they're still recruiting into this going into the season, and that leaves a pool. It still leaves a good pool, but you know, the recruiting is late. To
Yep.
recruit late, to fill at least a 12 player roster is just really, everybody's waiting for all these events. Everybody's not going to these events. Got a lot of players that don't go to these events. Not saying that they're not good enough, but the chosen few are the ones that's getting a chance to go to those with their AU teams or what have you, and they get these opportunities. But there are a lot of young ladies that's out there with no opportunity at all, or they're not being seen. They got to rely on your little smaller showcases,
Mm-hmm.
and they may get seen there. But even then, you're still looking at schools still signing players late,
Yep.
very, very late. So I don't know how long this trend is going to last. Um, and also, what doesn't hurt too now. Coaches are playing musical chairs more now too.
Mm-hmm.
Be it they're being released or let go or resigning or retiring or finding a better position. I mean, you're seeing that a whole lot this year, so that sometimes attributes to someone's roster. You know,
Yep.
that'll attribute to it. So I really don't know what to say about that.
Yeah, and we just had a situation like that. We had a guy, since we're all leaving, transitioning out. He was gonna go back home to his home JUCO because we, got him out of a post grad out of Florida. He did really well for us, but we're not gonna be there, so he decided to go home. Okay, cool. Well, that coach left and went to a 4 year school like middle of June. So he's like, "Whoa, okay, what do I do about this?" But he played well enough for us last year that he had a couple of Division twos looking at him. So it's like, well, maybe you just jump right in the 4 year, and then you never have to get into this mess again. Because this is technically your third time being recruited now, and you
Wow.
kind of tired of the process. Because post grad had to recruit him. Then 4 years was recruiting him out of the post grad, bunch of JUCOs. We got him. Now he just went back JUCO again. So it's like he tired of the process. Only thing slowed him up was, him transferring right now. He's just screwed up on the credit situation because he should have been coming into his second year. He has way more than enough credits for a freshman, but he ain't got enough to get into that school right now. And that's the only thing that's slowing him up.
What is the criteria? I mean, I don't know. I think isn't it the minimum is 48?
Yeah, minimum is 48, and he's sitting right at 43. But as a
Wow.
freshman with 43 credits as a JUCO player, you in the right ballpark. But he only 5 credits short.
And he only played 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Also, he should be in excellent shape. You know,
he should be, but he was trying to jump right there right now, and because he was trying to jump right there right now, he got to figure out the 5 credits or, play his second JUCO year.
Well, yeah, this is kind of again cutting it close
Mm-hmm.
in terms of making these kind of decisions. I really don't know who that player is, but you can go to JUCO and get yourself ahead of the game and still get your associates. A 4-year school is still going to be there when you get there, and you can, maybe if you play well enough, maybe there'll be a couple other schools that'll reach out. Reach out. You gotta look at your options. And your options are, the window's closing as close as you get to school. So I really wouldn't know. Obviously, of course, whatever advice that he's given, outside of just saying, well, listen, you just come on back, finish it up, get your associate's degree, and build your game, build your look, and things will turn out a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's looking like because it's like he left us and then he had to go to another one. Well, that coach took a 4-year job, so he just kind of like okay, do I stay here or not? I don't know who y'all about to hire, so he just was trying to field his way to see like what he could actually get, and they were interested, but 5 credits.
Right. Wow. Yeah. Well, hopefully, getting good advice. We've always talked about players getting the kind of advice and don't know who's giving them giving them advice. Again, I have a player that talented and really talented coming in. Really had high hopes with this young lady, but they got other things going on, and truthfully, he said they have these family problems and family issues, and come to find out it really isn't. It's about somebody else.
Yeah,
it's never about this. When a player comes to visit, they come to visit with mom or dad or grandparents, or somewhere within the immediate family, and there's a good visit, and they feel in the school, we're feeling that them, we like what we've seen in game film, and everything's a match, and then a couple of months later, or just because school starts, all of a sudden, the family structure has just just fell apart. Everything is just gone. I don't have, my family's not there. I don't have this, but I got this person. I got my boyfriend. He's been my rock, and he wants to come to school. And by the way, do you have a men's program there? So I'm like, wait a minute. I'm recruiting you to come here to play basketball. How does your boyfriend get into the mix here? So well, he's 6'6". He played high school. I said, oh, okay, I'll give the coach the information, but you're not promoting that to the men's coach, because the men's coach is going to do his thing. I guess for me, I felt very uncomfortable even mentioning it to the men's coach, not because I wanted this young lady, and she's got height and talent, but the idea of that's what it's come down to when she mentioned it to me, and I'm like, okay, well, I think it back in my head, well, I might not get this player because if the men's coach is not interested in him, and if he can't play, is that going to have an effect on you coming here?
Yep.
Is that going to have an effect you playing basketball, or for that matter, even enrolling in school? So I look at it as if players are just kind of using all these different things going on within the next 60 days. Sometimes it has nothing to do with academics, has nothing to do with basketball, and at times it has nothing to do with what's going on with their what's going on at home. You always try your best to recruit players that have, when they come to school, they come into school with good people. They got family members, what have you. My first year here at Central Carolina, I had one player that had to come with their guidance counselor. No mother, no father, nobody else involved. So, you know, when you're bringing good family structure to a campus visit, and then within a 60-day, 90-day window, something's happened where your family is no longer involved in anything you're doing, but you have a significant other who's all about what you're doing, then that could lead to mess up things going on in your program, because that could be scratching the surface from other things that will infiltrate your program. So, we're probably not going to deal with it, at least this year. Um, 18, 19 years old, man. What do what do you say about something like that?
Yeah. We've seen a couple of those situations. Like, yeah, I plan to move there. Okay, when you're moving in, yeah, I really don't want any roommates. That's usually where it starts.
Right.
I don't want any roommates. Why? Okay, so you're gonna foot this whole bill by yourself? Well, I was kind of hoping that I could share that with my girlfriend. No. No. You
Okay,
want to
so I'm
throw
not
me, your mom, and your dad in the thread as well? You're not
right.
just about
At
to have
least
me
I
sitting there
feel
with
that
y'all.
I'm feeling good because they're telling me that I'm not the only one that has encountered that kind of dealing. So I was always thinking that, man, I've never had that kind of dealing before. So, and yeah, thinking about it, at least you're telling me that the person, when they're moving in, they got to try to fit the bill. This young lady didn't even have a job. She had no job, and the parents said they're not paying for him. So, is his parents going to pay for him? They coming here with nothing, no money, no job, just gonna go out on, how does it go out on faith, as they would say. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I see they say I have faith. I don't know. I don't want to call it stupidity, but how you gonna come somewhere and got no money, no nothing, and and come to find out your family structure is not as bad as you said it was. It was just you trying to do you. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So I can I was thinking about what you had I think mentioned. I think we were talking about the prep school and
Yeah.
the dealings that I had when I was doing prep. Um, Funny story, man. It's crazy. I took over a prep school. Took over
Okay.
the guy. Knew my reputation of being on the hard line. That was back then. I was, we're talking about 15 years ago. I was hard line when I came to players. I just didn't take no mess. And he wanted me to say, we need that. We need for you to come in and turn it around. We need for you to turn it around, because we're not going to have it. And he got all these kids from all over the country. All these kids, right? They were from everywhere. So to
Mm-hmm.
go and see how they got the living arrangements. They got a 3-bedroom apartment with 10 players. All right. So and it's just 3 very small bedrooms. All right. 10 players and 3 small bedrooms. Get in there, and
Mm-hmm.
there, first of all, it was a absolute disgrace. No food in the house. That was one thing. Um, Dishes, but there's plenty of dishes in the sink. Like nobody's washing dishes. There's bags of McDonald's and Burger King, all sorts of bags. Trash not being taken out. Go upstairs to the bedrooms. Um, Guys are sleeping on blow up mattresses and regular old mattresses. Um, all their clothes, no clothes no hangers. No hangers, just clothes all over the place. I mean, I just didn't understand how they were living. I just saw it and I was like, okay, okay. And players was like, they were so okay with it. I said, no, we can't do this. Oh, well, who are you? You can't be telling us what to do. I said, you're right. I can't tell you what to do. You're right. I said, I'll tell you what. I went to the store,
Mm-hmm.
went to Walmart and bought maybe 300 hangers, man. I mean, because it's 3 bedrooms, they had a lot of stuff. These kids were coming from all over the place. So I
Mm-hmm.
bought 300 hangers. They, you buy them for $1. They were cost me maybe, I don't know, maybe about $75 just for hangers, just
Yeah.
for hangers. And I gave 100 for each room. I said, Okay, this is what's going to be done. I said, when I get back here, I expect to have everything on this floor hung up. I want clothes all hung up. I said, I want the trash taken out. I said, I want every last dish washed. I don't want to see no dishes in the sink. I said, if I come back here in 2 days and if this stuff is still here, I said, we're gonna send everybody home and we're not gonna play. We'll just start all over. You know, we can just start all over. Um, Came back 2 days later, everything was hung up. Everything was off the floors. There was nothing on the floors. All the trash was taken out. Dishes was washed, and these guys understood clearly that there was a new sheriff in town. so, so they kind of understood there was a new sheriff in town. We're gonna do it the right way.
Hmm.
But even then, you still gonna have players that's gonna resist, very resistant to it. But it worked out pretty good. Now, listening to your segment on and also transportation.
Hmm.
Transportation. The good thing is that the guy who was actually organizing it made sure that players that he had cars. So if I have 10 players and 4 players have cars, we should be able to go pretty much anywhere within 15 minutes. So gym was 15 minutes away. Everybody made practices. When we went to games, we just rented a 15 passenger van.
Hmm.
So it was a good deal, really good deal. But having all those things in place are really really important. I don't think that you know any. I would never recommend 10 players in a 3 bedroom apartment unless
Hmm.
it's a mansion or something like that or
Right,
what have.
right,
I never would recommend that. But you know, I think that when people do the prep school, you really have to look at who's running it, look at the type of players, what are they willing to do to sacrifice, are they willing to do their part, or are they gonna go to school? I was at a place where it was a school. It was actually school. So a lot of these guys were, coming in and making up some of the work that they need to make up as seniors that they couldn't do. Um, those were the biggest things, making sure everybody
right,
gets to school, and also setting. And for me, we had 15 kids. We wound up with 10 because there were 5 players that felt they didn't have to go to school. They didn't have to take those extra classes. And for me, it was real easy when players say they're not going or I got things to do. I said it's okay. You can go home and do those things at home. And when I told them once it was over, it was over. There was no come on, man, come on, look out for me. It was you got to go. That was it, and that struck a chord with the other players. That okay, this guy's not playing around. So everybody went to school, you know, wore the school. School had a shirt they had to
hmm.
wear, they had to wear the shirt. And I, basically tell them, I said, you don't have to. You don't have to do none of this. Nobody's forcing you, but you will be going home, and it won't be no turning back. And it turned out pretty good. So it's not every school goes through all that.
Yep, definitely, definitely. And it's a lot of post grad stuff, like you just said, and like Coach Torres was talking about too. It's just when families hear, okay, we can put them in post grad for a year, they don't think about all the rest of the stuff that come with it. Or you might be sending them across country too. But like I was having a conversation earlier, like most people don't realize that yeah, you can replace 3 core courses with that. Not all the way through, but 3 core classes.
Right.
Nobody ever talks about the 3 core classes. It's just like, well, they're in school. Okay, where are they in school at? All those classes gonna transfer. Can they utilize this stuff? Does it make sense? And it's like, if they give you too many runarounds where you're trying to get those answers, it can kind of get out of hand just a little bit. And most people just don't know how to handle it. So they don't say anything. And then, we just lost these conversations that people can't gain, reputable information from.
Right.
Because
Right.
people are just hurting mad. Like, I'm hurting mad. I sent my kid there and it was terrible. Ah. Yeah, you sent them there on August 10th. They needed to be there August 14th. You learned about it August 7th. That's an issue.
That is correct. That's an issue, right? Well,
So,
I've always when I did prep, I always made sure I told parents had all the information for them well in advance. What's it going to cost? You know, if you allow parents, especially if you get players last minute, if you allow them, selective memory is always in the house. It's like some sort of
mhm.
disease where they just forgot. Oh, I didn't remember it. Oh, I didn't hear that. You heard it, you just didn't want to hear it now. So having those kind of conversations with parents, and I don't know, man. I'm dealing with it even now, where when players are, even though they're old enough to make their own
Oh,
decisions.
oh,
Yeah. So we've uh, dealt with parents that I know the players are old enough to make their own decisions. Letter of intent, and actually, they got to be 18 to do that. But I'm just thinking that when we're talking to parents, and when it comes down to making these decisions to go to a school, transfer from a school, um, the more and more I've come to realize that some of these players are trying to make these decisions without their parents. Um, and then there's some of these schools also that these parents will wind up sending their kids to. They don't know that they got to pay money. They think that
mhm.
everything's covered and it's scholarship driven. And then when they find out that it's not scholarship driven, the parents are having issues with that. The old, grass is green on the other side. And my daughter, she just left and didn't have to tell the coach about it. It's just that that's kind of what I've been running into more players. They're I don't know. Is it me? I don't know if it's me, but we are in an age where players no longer want to they don't want to be confronted, and they won't confront you about them making these decisions. They will text you all day long and then block you. Like,
Mhm.
you could be pissed and you don't like how this is going on, and why didn't you tell me? Why you wait the last minute? They'll say what they're gonna say, text you and then block you because they don't want to hear it. There's just no accountability to some of these decisions that are being made uh, by players, either they're freshmen or sophomore transfers. I've just seen so much of it now that um, as a JUCO coach, unless you got a full ride to these players, these players are just making these decisions off the cuff, or like I said, schools are coming to them in the last minute, seeing their numbers and saying, "Oh well, I'm gonna snatch this girl up." Um,
Mhm.
I just think that the decision making is there's a disconnect between the player and the parent. You know,
Yeah. It's like yeah, some players that say, well, I want to go do this, and the parent is just hard driven into something. Or it's the vice versa too. And it's like, are both of you hearing each other or you just don't care at this point?
right?
Or you get the parent of the player that's like, hey, I need you to deal with him. You need me to deal with him for you. You can't deal with him. Like, I need you to deal with him. Why? He tuning me out. How is he tuning you out? What did you do? Like, you're gonna have way more of a connection with him than I am. It's just that I'm the new voice. But
Right.
I'm gonna be regurgitating a lot of the same stuff that you telling them. It's just
Absolutely.
me
Absolutely.
saying it. I
Absolutely.
might throw something different on it or whatever, just because we're different people. But okay, it's still the same message. And
Right.
we ran into that today. We had one player, have an attitude about, what he was being used for in a particular game today. Okay, cool. You mad? All right, fine. So, they had they spat, our other coach talking to him. He was like, well, I'm not going to coach you the rest of the day. And that was just, hey, sit over there or whatever because you won't listen. Okay, cool. So eventually, everybody check in, whatever. He's still a team player. He's been around since forever. So it's not like, these are his friends or whatever. So eventually I'm like, hey, slide down. Came down. I was like, hey, man, realize that, this is a team full of men, bro. Y'all grew up, team full of men. With that being said, this argument, can you do that with your boss? No. You do that with your football coach? Probably not. So if you can't do that in those kind of situations and you understand that these are also people that hold something over you, why would you do that here? And he kind of thought about it, and I was like, all right. I was like, now let's take you out of it. just being successful, do you think that's a way that you are able to walk into a place professionally dressed and act while all these eyes are on you, just because you're mad about a comment that somebody made about your game?
Right.
Thought about it. He was like, nah. I was like, okay, cool. So with that being said, keep in mind that all those people in those situations I just said, outside of your coaches, we know you. We have your best interests at heart. Can you say the same about those other people? No. So are you worried about people out there in life that are going to affect you like that without listening to us so we can get you to be able to deal with those situations appropriately?
Right.
He kind of nodded his head, and I was like, now you know what you need to do. You need to go talk to him because you yelled at him. He sees himself as the adult, which he is. We've already done this, been there. We're trying to bestow this wisdom on you so that you don't get yourself caught up outside.
Right.
He kind of got that. He walked over. They had their conversation. Next game, he was back playing. I was like, it's just that simple. You got to be able to come up off your pride rock at some point.
Well, I wish that it was just that easy when you're coaching women. I really wish it was that easy because because really, uh, I've learned that as a coach for women's basketball, that the points of criticizing and critique go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
If you and you have to be able to create an environment where a player can handle both. They can handle the critique and they can handle being criticized and still be able to give you all that they can give you. Because truth be told, um, in women's basketball, sometimes you will get players that they will hang on to something. They will hang on to it, and sometimes hanging on to it will hang on, and they'll take it into with the team. They'll take it with maybe players that they're cool with, and then they'll take it to the team. Then they'll take it into practice, and sometimes it'll carry into another game where it's like something that hasn't been resolved. So I guess I've been much more creative in trying to bridge that gap. Having women assistants, which really good. The ones that play JUCO, that when they can spot those kind of issues, there is something going on. If it's something going on with me and they got a problem with me, we try to bridge that gap quickly and as possible. Even just having a one-on-one and talking about it so they can understand. And me, despite the fact that I do coach women, I tell them I tell them straight out. I don't sugarcoat nothing. I tell them straight out. And but at the same time, I want them to understand. I trust you on the court. I trust what you can do. I need you out there. I can't have you sitting on the bench. I can't have it. I gotta have you on that floor. I said, but we have expectations of you. What expectations do you have of yourself? You got to
Mm-hmm.
have expectations of yourself. The expectations can't be just relied on the coaches, and then if you don't get out there and do well, you're gonna get an attitude and think you're not doing a great job, and when we're telling you the things that you're doing wrong, then you're gonna really be feeling bad about it. So we try to bridge those types of gaps that do happen. It happens, I think, a little bit more with women's basketball. Maybe not, but I'm only going by my own experiences, and those those are important aspects of having good coaches. Good assistant coaches can bridge that gap when players are feeling some kind of way, or they don't like what the head coach did, or why they pulled them out, or what have you. We're here to coach, to instruct, and those assistant coaches are here to do it a different way, to let them know the very same thing, and also even with parents. Um, you know, Sometimes parents have a tendency when they're in the games or they're at the games. I don't know about with
Mm-hmm.
you, but I've seen parents sitting behind us, and they're doing more criticizing than anything, and that sometimes takes a player out of the game. We had that a few times last year, home games. Parents are just letting their daughter have it, and I'm thinking, man, this is college. They are playing college basketball, not like high school where the high school coach is not going to say anything. They're not going to
Mm-hmm.
say anything. But the players sometimes they're out of it. They're thinking, looking back, parent criticizing them and telling them what they're not doing, and sometimes it kind of doesn't even correlate with what we're doing. So
Yep.
players who do that, they will you know, get into their feelings. But sometimes you have to have people to help you bridge that gap, you know, in order to have that happen.
Yep.
Um, I don't know about in men's basketball, but I don't know if they still got parents sitting behind the stands and creating
So
their problems.
So before I started working for the guy I was working for, what he did is he got smart. So we got two sides of bleachers that come out. The ones that are behind the bench, those never come out. You have to face what we say from way over there and whatever we saying. And then for every huddle that we have, the team comes around and it's complete cover. You don't know what we talking about. But his thing was his dad comes to all the games or whatever, and his dad always said that if he embarrassed the kid publicly, then they wouldn't come to any more games between his mom and his dad. So what he would do is he would just say like, "Hey, look, I'm not gonna get you so all these people can see what we're talking about because whatever we're talking about is between us anyway." So he wait for the locker room, and then we have our soiree or whatever we need to talk about. That if it's gonna be that bad and big or whatever, because also we got cameras rolling, so we don't want to have some scene that go on and it derail both careers as opposed to just the player's career because the
Right,
players put themselves in enough trouble being out here for 40 minutes, running into each other, banging into each other, whatever. Elbows are going to fly. People don't, crazy things are going to happen within the game structure. Cool.
right,
So tempers are going to flare. So it's just about how do we keep that calm and still present the best product. So we just always had those bleachers that were directly behind us. They were always put up with the exception of the time that we hosted the district title game. Then all bleachers had to come out because the place was almost full. So then
right,
there was a reason for it.
right,
But outside of that, nah. We rarely let parents into the situation. Sometimes they were because they may work in the school or they may work close by or something like that. But they never were pushy to the point where it was an issue where the student had to choose a side or any of that kind of stuff. It was just kind of like, hey, lay up off them. They might be doing bad because this situation is not just talked about here on the court. It's talked about when they leave as well. It's
right,
like they can't have you all on them, 24/7. Of course they're not going to do as well.
right.
Yeah.
Well, you're absolutely right, and I haven't had any problems with my parents. Um, I just haven't had problem. They'll say something, but I think that if it's something that I feel like if it's out of hand, I would say something to them. And I have all my parents. I don't know about other people how I do it, but to keep my parents involved and keep them abreast of everything. I got them in the group chat and talk to them about everything. Keep them abreast on everything that goes on with the team, scheduling, games, things of that nature. Just your basic thing that they can, because you got parents from all over the country, and
Hmm.
I keep them abreast of everything. But you do have your parents who are local, and they're the ones that's going to come to the games a lot. They're going to be at games. So I haven't yet encountered parents that to the point where they're just so out of control that I literally have to say something to them, because guys are different and girls and guys, they're different. There's going to be a different an emotional attachment to how they're going to kind of deal with that kind of stuff coming at them, hearing it from the coach, the assistant coach, and then hearing from the parents.
Hmm.
I don't care what level it is. It's going to be bothersome. So I haven't really had to deal with that. Um,
Yeah.
I've only had one situation where a parent tried to make it sound like basically make it sound like I don't know what I'm doing. You know what you're doing. You got to watch how you treating the kids. You're not treating them right. That I've heard from the team that they don't like. They're not feeling good. They don't like your plays. They don't like this. This coming from a parent, all right. Literally
Hmm.
in the stands. And I said, well, um, that may, as I say, that's maybe the case. It's funny when I talked to these players from the beginning of the year, they knew exactly what we were doing. These players I recruited, they see what we're running. They get to watch it on film before they come. So I don't understand why it's a difference now. There's no difference in what have you. I just think that in that sense, that's a parent just kind of looking at what their own daughter is in. And at that time, their daughter, was not getting up and down the court, wasn't hustling, you know. and of course, the old saying, I'm not going to yell at your daughter. I'm going to yell to her, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's from a distance, if I'm yelling at your daughter, it's that she's 90 feet away. It won't be like she's, 9 milliseconds away. She's not in my face and I'm yelling at her. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I think that maybe he, felt some kind of way or felt uncomfortable that, his daughter wasn't getting up and down the floor, like she needed to. And especially if somebody that's playing minutes, if you're playing minutes and you're not getting up and down the floor, it's a bad reflection on my coaching. That's telling me that I'm letting you just go ahead and run up and down the floor, and I'm not saying nothing to you. So
Yeah.
I just think that once that was done, and letting her know, then he kind of didn't like it, and yeah, all of a sudden that I'm having this mutiny within my team that they didn't like. They don't like what I'm running, and they don't like this, they don't like that. So I mean, that was really the only encounter that I had literally with a parent that may have had issues with um, me having to say something to their daughter. But I always tell parents, I say, whatever you said to your daughter, I say the same thing. I don't know what's the difference in what I'm saying. I'm a coach. Yeah, I got years under my belt as a coach, but you're saying the exact same things. The difference is that's your daughter. All right,
Mm-hmm.
that's your daughter. So how you say it and how I say it is not necessarily going to be the same way. It's still going to be the same message. As I said, I'm going to do it, in a yelling manner while they're all the way down the court. I'm gonna make sure
Mm-hmm.
that I make my voice heard so she understands. I need you pushing a little bit better. You're playing a lot of minutes and you're not giving that effort. I said, if you're not on the floor, then I got a problem with you being here. What are you here for? You're here to play. I give that to my opportunity. I tell a player, you come here, you are coming here to play.
Right.
I'm running a nice system for you to come here to play. I'm not sitting players on the bench. I don't have any, your towel waivers. I don't have any towel waivers on my team. You coming here to play. You're gonna get the best that you can possibly get. So, if you're not giving me your effort, then your playing time is your choice. You've made a choice
Mm-hmm.
not to play a lot. I give you your own accountability. So sometimes players can get it, but parents don't.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny too that you're talking about, players going up and down the field. I mean, up and down the field, up and down the court. Regardless, sometimes they don't get it, and even the guys. So we come back, get back to AAU. First couple of days is right at the holiday. You don't expect nobody to be there, so we play a game with 6 kids, right?
Wow.
So
Wow.
and a seventh showed up, but they getting back in town, and here's this 5:40 p.m. night game. Like, people are going to struggle to get to that. If traffic in Chicago is crazy. So they're tired going up and down the court. So eventually, I'm saying, that we score a basket, call timeout. I was like, yeah, y'all tired, huh? Congratulations. So I get them to start clapping. I was like, here's the point of reason why we're clapping. This right here would be the equivalent if you guys never came off the court. That's what y'all say y'all want to do in college, right? Now y'all know y'all not in shape.
Right.
Because they looking at y'all like, what's up? And y'all over here like, I was like, now y'all see the difference. So when I'm asking y'all to go jogging on your own or all these other extra things to do, this is the culprit. And don't get me wrong. I understand this, July 5th, 6th, whatever. Y'all done ate whatever barbecue and everything like that too. That's holding y'all down. I completely get that.
Yeah.
But I ain't want to say that though.
Right.
I was just like,
Right.
hey, I need y'all to get active.
Right. Right. I don't know, man. These players, there used to be a time when a player would be playing, in the summer. They're getting in shape.
Mm-hmm.
These players now, man, they are on vacation. All right. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
also, social economic situations where players have to work.
Yep.
Okay, I gave that. And they got to maybe they have to work a 9 to 5. All right. Granted, they got to do that, so that might have a little bit of a difference in it. But players, now, especially when they're already on teams and they're already on rosters, they don't put that kind of work in like they need to. I'm not saying that's a knock to every player, but
Mm.
I've had players come either coming in for the first year or they've come back from the second year, and as if they haven't even played. It's just like they're back to square one, literally. You'll get that one or two that's gonna come in. They're gonna be in shape. They're gonna be ready. They recognize that there are better players there, so they have to be cognizant of the fact that if I'm not where I need to be, there's a freshman coming in and get ready to take my job. They
Mm-hmm.
get ready to take my job. I've been here 1 year. I gotta be on point coming into the second year or third or fourth year. I gotta be on point.
Yep.
So you're gonna have one or two, but a lot of them are doing other things in the summer. They're using work, and I got that. You got to work, but I mean, I was 18, 19 too, and I worked, but I was still balling. I was still balling.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I have a job, but socioeconomic issues within certain people's family where they have to work. Okay, I got that, but you still have to keep yourself ready. And in the
Yep.
sense of whether it's AU or coming back, you have to get yourself ready. You got to be at least working out. Give yourself an hour or getting it in on the weekend. Just to get you some shots, 2 hours. You have to be able to do that. You have to. There's no way around all of that. And then come back, and then even if you have 5 or 6 or 7, you got seven, and they troopers, they ready to go at it. Then
Mm-hmm.
it's not gonna matter. We ready. We gonna that team could have 10, 11. We're gonna put it on them. But it's
Yep.
really hard when you get 5 or 6, and then you got Chicago traffic. I mean, Raleigh traffic is traffic too, man. That traffic. You talking about Raleigh, North Carolina now.
Uh-huh.
We're talking. It's major city, but not that major enough. Where we talking. It's not on the level of Chicago. All right, but I get that. The kids have to work, but not every kid is a 9 to 5, 40 hour a week. Uh, that's not that. It's just that people are going to be, just like you said, people are going to be tired. There's going to be some reasons, but that's why you get to your games an hour, get them legs stretched, you
Mm-hmm.
get your frame of mind right. Oh, they got 6 of us, it's 10 of them. We may have to go, it might be a 30-minute play day. We have to be ready.
Yep.
So I give that an excuse for a little bit, but I can't give it to all the way, man.
Yeah. And it was like the next game, it was like, okay, y'all are yourselves again. The first thing I asked was like, y'all throw up last night? A couple of them was like, yeah. I was like, mm-hmm. Holiday food. I get it. But that's the reason why y'all got to still go and do those things. So that way that doesn't hit you as bad. It just hit them, messed them up a little bit, but it was okay.
Right, right.
So I
What do
did want to ask you this, though. All right, about the camp. How was the camp?
My camp did not go great. I didn't have a lot of players come to the camp. Um, He was my very first one. Very first one. The past 3 years, remember, I didn't do the first. I didn't do two. The first two I didn't do because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Then last year it was like a co-ed. It was just guys, girls, and he only had 10, 10 people, and it was only uh, 2 girls. This year I only had 3 girls. That was it. And to me, that was okay because it's a ladies first basketball camp.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that what I've learned from it is that, the camp went good. Players, they worked hard. I had full skill development. All right, full skill development. Even if I had 20, it would still been full skill. I wouldn't have been playing at all. I want these players to understand that it's all about skill development. So having players out there and working on the skills, your basic passing, dribbling, shooting, defensive slides, and things that I put in. To me, it worked out really well. We basically had all high schoolers. It was just 3 high schoolers, and we went 3 out of 4 hours, and it went really well. I think my lesson that I've learned from this particular camp is maybe go earlier instead of going in July. I'll be looking at May,
Mm-hmm.
when everything, when players are out there starting to look for schools and things like that. I can do something in May, and I could have done it in May this year. I just chose not to. So in terms of numbers, it may not have been what I wanted, but I was okay with that because if it's my thing is that I got to build the brand for the camp, ladies first, and that's always a nice thing, something I wanted to do, and I think that when I do it in May next year, I think I'll have more players. To me, if I get 10, 15, it's nice when you get 30 or 40, but I have a small court. We only have a two rim,
Mhm.
in school, D3 JUCO, you know, it's pretty nice, but that's it. It's not like we have like we don't even have the side, like the side courts.
Mhm.
We don't even have the side courts.
Gotcha.
For me, a camp of that latitude for me, I would probably max out at 30,
Gotcha.
for the drills that I want to do. Anything over 30 to me would be overcrowding, you know.
Mhm.
So I'm not worried about it too much. Um, I think that like I said, for three players, it worked out well. It'll probably be better next year once we go early.
Okay. Okay. Good to hear. Good to hear. All right. So to help your brand there, what I want to ask you is, off season, where did some of your players go, and just some stories about some of them.
Well, you talk about in terms of schools, or you talking about what they've what are they doing as far as workouts?
No, like schools.
Well, I can safely say this was. I think I told you when I first got it. This school was really in the dirt in terms of women's basketball.
Hmm.
Um, it's just really bad. They really put no emphasis on it. And when you do that, then players who are locally are not coming here. It's just plain and simple.
Yeah.
They're not coming. So I've had to recruit out of state, and I've done that. And the good thing is that I've had 7 young ladies move on in 3 years. Um, I sent two to NCCAA schools. That's
Okay.
a Christian college. So I sent two to NCCAA schools. I got one right now, looking at a D3. Still waiting because this young lady wanted her degree program. She wasn't going to stray from it, and I
Nice.
did get my. Say it again.
No, I just said nice.
Yeah. So she wants her degree program. It's hard. It's a dental hygienist. It's only like several schools. They're still talking to her, but she'll more likely be able to choose. And the good thing is that a couple of schools that she's looking at is in state, so she won't have that far to go. And my fourth player, this young lady I got from Florida. She was going to another school in North Carolina, which was at that time a D2 JUCO, and she got to the school and they didn't even have women's basketball anymore. So I wound up getting her, and she played for me for 2 years. And for the first time, I've done some things in school history here at Central Carolina. I've got the first JUCO All American. She made D3 JUCO All American.
Nice.
First time in school history. She's going to a D2 4-year school. She stayed with me 2 years, got her associate's degree, got a D2 school, Middle Georgia State University, which is in a D2 school. It's my first
I lost.
D2.
I lost you again. I lost you again. I lost you at first time in school history that she was a JUCO All American. That's where I lost you at.
Right, first time in school history, got to do a JUCO All American, and she uh, got signed by Middle College State University in Georgia. I mean, Middle Georgia State. Sorry, Middle Georgia State, which is a D2. First D2 women's basketball player in school history. And also, I won our region, which is Region 10 D3. First time in school history. Um, the men's basketball program don't have a banner up. So it's the first banner for men's or women's basketball. Um, you're talking about men's basketball has been, I guess, in existence over 30, 35, 40 years. And I think maybe women's basketball at that school has been 20 years. Never could have women's basketball more than 2 years in a row because it just failed or it just didn't work, what have you. So I feel real good about what I've done in my few years at JUCO. I was at a JUCO um, prior to the pandemic for 2 years, and we won the Region 10 in Division II, and then I took over at Central Carolina, which is Region 10 D3. And in my 3 years, I won my region, won the region. We went to play against Region. I think it's Region 20. Well, I think it's Region 20. Region 20 is, I think, the Pennsylvania, Maryland, and we went there, and we that's the one. If you win that, then you go to the Nationals, and we went there and we lost to Prince George.
Okay.
Prince George Community College. They had been there, year in and year out, but we went there and we did pretty good. For the first time ever, we traveled to Baltimore, and went there, and we lost by 11. It was a really good showing, and it also helped us where a banner changes players mindsets. Got a banner, a small school like Central Carolina, you got a banner that helps the local players now want to come. They really believe now that women's basketball is going to be making a difference. So to have 4 players move on in your second year, like I said, I tell these players, if you come 2 years, I'll help you get a 4-year school. But I never promised D1, D2. I never promised those things. So to have 2 to go to the NCCAA, 2 go to a Christian college, and 1 is about to go to a D3, and then 1 went to a D2. I'm feeling pretty good about it. Feeling pretty good about what I've accomplished. It may not be. A funny thing is that despite the fact that I've done that, the school is really putting an emphasis on. They want me to bring more local players. They want. I'm more than sure that. Considering that you're in the Illinois, Indiana, Michigan area, that you may stray and get 1 or 2 on the states that's touching. But for me, it's more of, this women's basketball program was down, and the coaches that was here before me had all those opportunities to bring your local players in, and obviously that didn't work. So since that didn't work, my philosophy is that it's going to take me up to 5 years to bring those local players back into the fold. So I have to recruit out of state. I have to recruit out of state, meaning that, consider I'm in North Carolina. I got a couple from South Carolina, a couple from Georgia, a couple from Florida. I got 1 girl from Colorado. I got 1 from Arizona. I do have like 6 or 7 local, in-staters. But the idea is that, in order for us to go from D3 to D2, we had to play 3 years in a row. And we did that. So, going from D3 D2 for us is huge. So, we had to do that. So we have to bring in players from out of state, make sure our roster is at least decent. And, despite the fact that I lost 2 players last year, one for torn labrum, 1 ACL. Both those players are going to be back. I got about 12, 13 players this year. I feel real good about where the program is going, and also those players that are in and say, wow, he's moved on some players since he's been here. He's moved on players. So I feel pretty good about that.
Nice. Well, Coach, that's all I have for you, brother.
Well, listen, I appreciate it. I always appreciate coming out here and telling you what I'm doing. And hopefully I'll have some news. Let's maybe talk maybe in December when I can tell you how things are going when they're going for the holidays.
Right. We talk about the holidays. I got you.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, man.
All right, brother. Good to see you.
You keep doing what you're doing, man. We need guys like you out here.
For sure. I appreciate you.
All right, man. Talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Bye.
Gone. Yeah. I got it. We on the move. We on the move.